Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, Butaida. My name is Nurul Akmal and I'm going to perform regards to my paper which is related to this integrated planning process. So basically, for this assignment, I'm going to choose a specific issue which is changing in management, which is that these issues changing in management where we can apply or we can adapt the integrity planning process itself. So basically, I'm going to start with the basic information, or I'm going to define on the integrated planning process itself. Yeah. So basically, when we talk about integrated planning process, or I'm going to cut it short. I'm going to put it in a short form as IPP. So we are going to call it as a IPP. So IPP is actually, when we talk about the IPP, this one is actually talking about the effective organizational planning and the strategic element. So when we talk about IPP itself, they do have several components that we need to drill down, we need to engage with, we need to focus, and we need to emphasize on that particular component itself. So throughout my reading itself, so I find out that number one, we need to focus on the strategic alignment. Yeah. So in the IPP itself, when we talk about the strategic alignment, this one is actually drill down or explain more on the identification and the clarification of the organization mission, visions, the value, and this one usually involve long-term strategic goals. So basically, when we talk about this strategic alignment in the as a component of the integrated planning process itself, this one is actually compose the elements of, compose the principles of planning, decision making. When we talk about strategic, we are actually talking about what is the plan, what is the decision making throughout the organization, throughout the process itself. So basically, I choose one article journals by Chan and So. So basically, the study was done previously talking about this strategic alignment itself. Okay, so basically, in the study by So basically, the scholars, the researcher itself, the Chan and So, in their studies, they examine that many problems arise due to the conflict of objective or unforeseen, which is, in other words, to be simplified. The objective is not clear enough to the employee, to the the objective set by the organization is not clear. So Chan and So come with this research saying that there is a problem arise. So to be specific, when this Chan and So perform a research, both of them, their research is drilling down on the there is a case study which is they are drilling down on the manufacturing. So when he apply this integrated approach to this process, he said that if we are not implementing on this strategic alignment, there is a high consequences or high chances on that particular organization fail. Yeah. So I can say that throughout my reading on this particular article itself, it means that it simply means that by adopting an integrated approach, organization is actually can minimize or perhaps maybe can eliminate the problem. I mean, to be rational, it is very difficult to eliminate, but actually we can actually minimize the problems by ensuring that the process of the process of planning and how we do the determination, what will be the process, it must be clear. So by having that, we are actually trying to minimize the problem. So so I proceed further here. Another example for us to understand further about this. The other example that I can provide here, the process of, the integrating process of planning and scheduling allow the organization to consider both short term as well as, this short term, usually we talk about, how to say this? Okay, when we talk about when we talk about short term, usually it is considered as in terms of the schedule, and schedule is in terms of short term scheduling constraint, and also we are dealing in a long term process capability. This is when we talk about the developing of the production plan itself. Yeah. Okay. So overall, for this component, this one is actually integrated approach of a process planning process itself. So there is a challenges. When we talk about challenges, there is a challenges. So the challenges here is that the organization may face a conflicting objective or unforeseen changes. So when we talk about the challenges like unforeseen changes, we are actually referring to the organization itself, the employee itself, the people in the organization itself. They are actually required, or they really need a better coordination, a very precise communication, a very clear communication, and then we also talk about decision making. Yeah, so when we talk about this strategic alignment, we are actually talking about, that we are actually dealing with the previous challenges here. The previous challenges here, to be specific, for the organization is actually in striving their mission and vision, their values, their strategic goals. So that will be the challenges here. But then again, there is a significant on that here. Okay, so when we know that they do have a challenge, they do have a challenges here, how can we overcome the problem? So based on the explanation, based on the reading, this is what I can suggest here. I'm not sure that I am doing it right or wrong, but from my point of view, in order to overcome the challenges, the organization is actually demand for a strong leadership. That means the head or the leaders of the group, the leaders of the business unit must encompass a very strong leadership. When you have a strong leadership, you have a very good leadership. The leadership itself able to communicate within that particular organization or within that particular business unit. So when a good leader able to have effective communication, at the same time it is also a commitment to fostering a culture of alignment throughout the organization itself here. Yeah, why? Because the objective is to achieve a high, perhaps maybe we are talking about productivity, or maybe we are talking about the performance of that particular department. So it is a very advisable, or it is a very recommended. I mean it is to overcome the challenge. I strongly recommend that particular organization must have a strong leadership. I mean, I could not say either the organization should change the leaders or whatever it is. Perhaps maybe that they can send it for course, for a better improvement. Depends on the organization. Yeah. Okay. Next, when we talk about this integrated of planning process, we are actually talking about cross-functional collaboration. So what does it mean actually by this cross-functional collaboration? Yeah. Okay. Basically, this cross-functional collaboration is important. Why? Because by having this, it is a guideline to assure that the organization itself is actually diverse, their perspective and the expertise. Those things are integrated into the planning process. So it is a very high important. Yeah. So when we talk about cross-cultural, so basically this cross-cultural, we are talking about various numbers of department. This can be, when we talk about big organization, of course they do have a numbers of business unit. For example, they have finance, they have marketing, they have operation, they have a human resource, they have a customer service. So they a big organization, they do have these numbers of numbers of business unit. Yeah. So I support, or I come with one of the studies which has been done previously by the Grimsters and Linders in the years of 2011, which is that they examined that the contribution of this cross-cultural functional cooperation is actually corporate to the success success contingent on the type of market and technology opportunities itself. So as a result of that, it's being pursued, and opportunities being pursued, lead to the opportunities which is which is characterized by a high level of technology and market risk itself. Okay. So when we talk about this previous study, but of course, definitely, again, we are still in the Grimsters and Landers. So basically, both of them, they are actually, the study is actually focused on a new product of development. So by taking this into scenario, we take this case study into a scenario, we can say that a successful product development required input and collaboration from these multiple functional areas. I mean, again, as I mentioned earlier, from the finance, from the marketing, from the operation, I mean, all of this business unit, they need to get together in order to assure that the success of the organization itself. So, I mean, this cross-functional cooperation is actually leverage and expertise and perspective of team member to address the multi-phase challenges by the company. Yeah. So when we implemented, I mean, when this component implemented into organization, into organization, definitely they do have a challenges itself. Yeah. Okay. What will be the changes? What will be the obstacle here? Again, come back to the examples of a big organization which involve a multiple of business unit, numbers of business unit. Yeah. So definitely number one is a communication barriers. Number one. Yeah. When we talk about communication barriers, this can also be a communication style as well. Perhaps the priorities, the jargon, yeah. So how can we actually overcoming this problem? Okay. So let me see. In order to overcome those kind of problem, without a clear leadership or without a governance structures, these cross-functional teams may struggle to stay focused and aligned with the overarching of the organization goals. Yeah. So I would suggest, in order to enhance this cross-functional collaboration within organization, I would suggest that collaboration, I mean the culture of collaboration is essential. Encouraging a teamwork. I mean, maybe we can share the values among department. Yeah, to have a clear communication. When we talk about clear communication, it should be a clear. The communication should be clear. Established to facilitate the transparent and the effective interaction between teams. Yeah. So again, the leaders itself need to ensure the representation and the accountability across team. Yeah. Help to address the dispute of the constructively here. I would like to add here, it is important to perhaps maybe as a good leader, maybe you can recognize and then you can celebrate the successful collaboration efforts. For example, one business unit with another business unit, yeah, when they collaborate, they are success. They are reaching the objective. So when they are reaching the objective, as a good leader, we should celebrate them. So it demonstrates a commitment. It shows. It demonstrates a commitment. It shows how that we are appreciating towards one and another. So component number 3, we are talking about continuous improvement. Yeah. So when we talk about this continuous improvement, we are actually defined by the ongoing process, by reviewing the process, the assessment, and the modification. How can I explain this to be understood, simple understood? Okay, what we meant by continuous process, continuous improvement. So that means we are actually focused. We are actually talking. So I take into example. We are actually talking about one big organization. So definitely we do have the objective. We have the standard process. We have all things that we put as a guideline. Yeah, but that guideline, that process, perhaps only can be applied for that current time, for that particular time only. But moving forward, when they do have changes, when they do have for example, currently, okay, we take into consideration example like in banking, in financial institution. Last time the process of financial institute, when we talk about financial institution, last time we are very manual. Each of the transaction we have to walk, we have to perform over the transaction. But when the time change, when they do have an improvement on the technology itself, the system improve. So this financial institute also have to improve in terms of the service, how they can ease their consumer, how they can ease their stakeholder, how they can ease all these account holders to perform the transaction. So now they come with internet banking. So instead of we need to walk in and do a transaction over the counter, now currently we can simply perform a transaction by using our handphone, by using our device, all these gadget things. Yeah, so this is what we call as a continuous of the improvement. Yeah, so in order to fit into this element, that particular organization itself must be or easy, can adjust to the shifting to the internal and external circumstances itself. Yeah, so this is what we call as a continuous of improvement. So when we talk about this component, definitely this component also they have their own challenges. So what is actually the challenges here? All right, so let's discuss on the challenges of this component. Yeah, so when we talk about challenges, we are actually talking about a new improvement project. So that will be a challenge. Sometimes it is very hard to be accepted. Because why? Because they get used to the current process. So it is very difficult to change. Yeah. Number two, it consists a time consumption. So we call it as a time consumption. Definitely when we talk about improvement, it will also involve in fund, money. So the support, definitely as an organization we need a support from the employee itself. So other than that, I can say that will they're going to have a challenge in development. The access to the development and the achievement itself. Number one, in order to develop, that will be a challenging. But number two, in order to achieve the challenge, in order to achieve the development also is challenging as well. So what we can say here, again, a strong leadership and a continuation of assistance, how we drill, how we approach, how we conduct our employee. Yeah, that will be that will be a support or a beneficial to the employee itself. So I can say for this point of view, I can say that the organization must prioritize the developing developing this kind of teamwork, yeah, to assure the success of the organization itself. Okay. Number 4, number 4, I am talking about the resource allocation. Yeah. Basically, when we talk about resource allocation, we are actually talking about strategic. Yeah? Strategic, but we are talking, this resource allocation usually involve a strategic and efficient deployment of financial, human. When we talk about human, we are actually talking about the headcount, the material resources, and the support from the organization goals itself. Yeah. Again, I also come with a study that has been done. This one, the study done by Coleman, yeah, by a researcher named Coleman, yeah, which he examined that in order to optimize the effective, in order to achieve the high effective, there is a need to be an overall integrated closed loop management system. So what does it mean? Okay, it means that it is easy to explain that it is critical that the planning must be complemented by a dynamic, by a long-term budget, so that the management can focus on the revenue and the expenditure, right? So when we talk about the implementing on overall integrated closed loop management, this one is described as several changes as well. Yeah, why? Because it talks about assessment again. It talks about strategic planning. We talk about budgeting. We talk about the operation planning. So this one is actually a challenging. Yeah. Why challenging? Because usually it will challenge at the system and the data sources. Yeah. Because if we have an incomplete or inaccurate data, it will jeopardize, it will affect on our decision making. So once it jeopardize on our decision making, it will also jeopardize on the whole organization performance itself. Yeah. So how can we address this challenge? So from my point of view, in order to overcome or in order to break this challenge, we need to consider on collaboration among others, among employee, and then we need to stay focused on the communication. Yeah. So of course, the organization also need to invest in the data quality. On the analytics. Yeah. So this one definitely will also empowering. Definitely, this one is actually empowering the decision maker itself. Yeah. So by having this, the organization can actually utilize or maximize the effectiveness of the integrated this closed loop management itself. Okay. And the last one here, doctor. Last one we are talking about performance measurement. Yeah. So basically, when we talk about performance measurement, we are actually looking at the indicator. They do have an indicator where we call it as a KPI, key performance index. So this is from this KPI, this is how we measure on the performance. Yeah. So it is important for the company, in order to success, must have a performance measurement. Yeah, because at the end of the year, then when we do the wrap up, when we do the appraisal, so this will be the indicator. Yeah. So why is actually this important? Why? Because performance measurement is needed as a guideline to know where did you stand, and then is there a room for improvement? How can a good leader help all those employee to improve better? Yeah. So this is why performance measurement is important. So usually in a big company, performance measurement usually they usually will be analyzed using perhaps monthly performance, or some company they used to review as 2 months time, so we call it as a bi-monthly performance. So at the end of the day, the objective is the same, which is to review the performance, because this index is to measure on the performance. Yeah. Okay. In this planning strategic, in this integrated planning strategic, discuss that it is difficult to find a pertinent key performance index. Yeah, especially in the context that are diverse and changing quickly. Yeah, because usually when we talk about performance, we talk about perhaps 1 year. I mean, in order to measure your performance, it need time frame. So it will be difficult if there is a change, there is a quick change in that particular department. Yeah, so that will be one of the challenges as well. Yeah. So again, perhaps I can add the accuracy or the consistency of the performance is also quite challenging. It's also quite difficult here. Yeah. So by realizing, I mean, we know that there is a problem, there is a challenge on that particular component. I can suggest, from my point of view, the organization should engage in procedure for choosing KPI and gathering the data. So the organization must know what will be the element that you need to put clearly, and then once it has been set in the performance, it has to be discussed with the employee so that they know, okay, this is what their guideline, this is what they are going to drill, perhaps for 1 year performance. Yeah, so that it will help to continuously improve their performance. Okay. So basically, that will be a component in the integrated of the planning and strategy itself. So doctor, on top of that, I choose one issue which I believe that it is suitable to adapt and to adopt in this process of in this process of integrations of planning and strategies, which I choose the topic of changing in management. Yeah. So when we talk about changing in management, the process of changing in the management itself required plan and required a strategies. It required a strategy. Yeah. It requires. So when the organization decided to do a changes, that means it must consist of plan, implementing, managing changes. So all those things must be managed effectively to minimize the disruption, because the objective is to address the resistance and we would like to increase the successful. Yeah. So some people, they might think, why we need change? Yeah. So changes is actually needed to facilitate a smooth of transitions, to promote on the organizational agility, and to assure that the changes is aligned with the strategic objective in order to derive of the business outcome. Yeah. So a communication plan for change should focus on specific objective. So in order to change, we must have a communication plan. Yeah. So this communication plan must specific write down the objective of the changes. Yeah. So we must also establish on the timing, establish on the frequency for the communication activities. Okay. So when we talk about change in management, we are actually talking about the successions of the planning. Either you are success in plan, in restructuring, or realignment. Yeah? So all those actually responsibility to be a better support to organization mission and vision. So that is the reason why we do the changes here. Okay, 1 second. Yeah. So again, Dr. just now I did mention why, because we are talking about the objective. Yeah. So it must be precise. I mean, the employee must be well, apa tu kita kata, hendaklah diwar-warkan ataupun hendaklah, we need to emphasize to the employee the reason or the objective of the changes, number one. And then communication channel. So as discussed earlier, so communication channel, this one, it can include perhaps email, intranet announcement, or maybe can have a town hall. Yeah. So that means everybody has been communicate, everybody has been informed on the changes. So when we talk about change in management, we must also have a feedback mechanism. This one is more on, we provide two way of communication rather than we have this is what we have been said, so as an employee you must obey. So in order to have a successful of changing in management, it is a must for the organization to have a feedback mechanism. Yeah. Of course, training and support. Yeah, when we talk about training and support, we are talking about who will be the who is actually needed the training, the support, how, okay, when, for example in a customer service. So who need the support? Definitely the agent, the consultant itself, they need the support. So how can the organization support them? So in order to support them, we give them a training, we support them, we provide them the material, we provide them with the full of information, whatever things that they need. Yeah. So when we talk about when they need it, when they are required for certain objective. For example, all these agents are required to attend to the customer or the stakeholders on account related. So when they need the training before they are about to go live for the operation. So that is what we talk about, who, how, and when the training and support is needed. Okay. Again, measurement and evaluation. So this one, it will be the same as what discussed in the principle or in the component of integrated, which is that we are actually defined on the metric and the key performance indicator. So it is a must. So when can this be implemented? Okay, when we talk about when, it must be early. So when we talk about performance measurement, we are talking about 1 year performance. So 1 year performance, perhaps we take a general one from January to December. So before January, the employee must be acknowledged on the index to measure on their performance. So the evaluation and the effective of the communication will take place on the process, the whole process. So the results will be translated, the result will be reflected at the end of the year. So that is when we talk about measurement and evaluation. The last one is on the contingency plan. So contingency plan means that we have a backup plan here. We look forward on the potential challenges. So perhaps after all the communication done, after all the training support, after all the measurements, yeah, perhaps we can do a OHI. Yeah, maybe we can, the organization itself can have a OHI with the employee. So the leadership, the culture, we talk about strategy, we'll talk about operation. So this is where feedback is needed again. Yeah. So when we talk about planning process, we are actually talking about who, how, and when. This is we call as a mitigation planning process. Number one, again, I put the wrap up here. Number one, describe our community. Yeah. So it must have that we must identify, we must explain, we must review, develop our strategy, and then once we develop the strategy, we must develop the action plan, and then last one is we keep track on the progress. Yeah. So as a conclusion here, doctor, by following this planning process, the organization can effectively implement the communication plan for change of management. So it's just that they need to ensure that the employees are informed, engaged, and supported through the transition of the process. So I'm going to end my presentation here, doctor. So thank you so much. Assalamualaikum.